Burgess, and I can't believe they let Senator Angolia here, but they did, so he's here as well. And I know we have some other local officials, so I want to thank them for all their hard work. We have just kind of toured a little bit. We drove through some and then walked and talked to some residents, but clearly this is a similar story in this coast from probably Sarasota up through Pasco for sure, where you had feet of storm surge. That caused a lot of these homes to flood, and that's going to require a lot of work, obviously, to get people back on their feet. We also, yesterday, were able to tour some of the areas that were ground zero for where the eye of the hurricane went up in Taylor County. We also recently in Cedar Key and Levy County. Those are areas that had just gotten hit by Idalia, and I had toured that after that came, but you had homes that didn't even have major damage with Idalia. Some of those homes were totally destroyed. I mean, it was really, really catastrophic to see that. There's going to be a lot that needs to be done in that area. And then, of course, here, there's a lot that can be done. But I do want to thank, I know we have the sheriff here. I want to thank everybody who worked hard when you had a lot of very fast-moving water, a lot of perils. We're able to go in and help off a lot of people. I think our hundreds of rescues. I know state agencies were assisting and then also doing their own, but this was really, really good work. So thank you guys for doing that. And I know a lot of these guys, including the sheriff, they have all problems with their residences, and yet they're out here helping their fellow citizens. So thank you for doing that. So we are here in Pasco. I know the county has some of the points of distribution set up. We're also willing to do that in the state. We've got 34 points of distribution that are now set up across the state in various counties, being done by the Florida National Guard. We've got 5 in Leon, 2 in Dixie, 3 in Hamilton, 1 in Wakulla, 3 in Lafayette, 3 in Manatee, 2 in Jefferson, 5 in Suwannee, 3 in Charlotte, 2 in Pinellas, 1 in Gilchrist, 1 in Madison, 1 in Taylor, 1 in Levy. So if there's a request in Pasco, I think there may be interest. We'll fulfill that request and do that. And that is distributing things like water, food, some supplies, tarps, and other things of that nice. Although this was a water storm. This really wasn't a wind storm. I've not seen nearly the wind damage that we've seen in other parts. In fact, I was just talking to a fella down the road. He had 3-4 feet of water in his house, but the tiki hut he had in the back was fine. Now, normally, when you would have a direct impact, the winds would be fast, things like that would just get blown away. So a lot of the movement in the boats and the debris, that was driven by the surge and driven by the water. And so that's just it. But we're still offering the tarps in case people need it. Also, ice bags. The Florida National Guard by itself has cleared almost 1,200 miles of road. They've rescued 155 personnel and 156 pets. So we appreciate what the Florida National Guard has done with that. We are now looking at a power situation where, since the beginning impacts of the storm, 2.175 million accounts have been restored. 227,000 accounts are outstanding. We got word from here in Pasco that in this area, the local utility is expecting the power to be back on by tonight. Now, you may not be able to receive power, and you may have damage to your own system apart from what the overall system's doing, and that's just going to require people to look at that. You may have potential fire hazards. So I know they're going to work on that to make sure that everybody is safe, but when you have that much inundation of water, it may not necessarily just be what can be hooked up on these power lines. It may be, can you safely receive power or not? And hopefully they can safely receive it here, but I know they're going to be looking at that. Duke Energy expects to have power restored to most of their customers by midnight tonight. So of the 227,000, we have about 112,000 that are Duke accounts. Most of those are the Pinellas County area that also got hit hard, and so we expect that to be back on very, very quickly. Cut and toss operations on state-owned facilities are complete, except for areas that are just simply inaccessible because of hazards. That's not necessarily a lot, but there are some spots, particularly in northern Florida. So the work started 3 a.m. on Thursday morning, and they've now cleared 12,200 miles of roadway, and we've had 2,100 members of Florida Department of Transportation working since the storm hit on recovery efforts. All the interstates were cleared very quickly. They did all the bridges and made the inspections there. All the causeways in the greater Tampa Bay area. Some of them had damage. I think 3 of the 4 had damage, so they were able to do that and get those open very quickly. We are now about 9,000 traffic signals statewide that were reviewed, and there are 80 signals in areas directly impacted by Helene that are not operational. So almost every traffic signal's back. And remember, traffic signal's out, you treat it like a 4-way stop. And so you go, you do, and I know it can be frustrating, but there are very few signals that are out. But those that are out, please be safe in terms of what you're doing with that. All our airports are open and ready to go. Now, in Pasco, we've been able to fulfill a lot of requests so far. We facilitated water rescue assistance with Florida Fish and Wildlife. We facilitated high water vehicle requests due to 9/11 backups, 911 backups, delivered 2 truckloads of 20 pallets of drinking water, as well as 11,520 individuals worth of food MREs. We also delivered a generator for employee shelter and repaired traffic lights at the US 19 intersection. We're also mobilizing additional missions to Pasco County. Comfort station with bathrooms, showers, laundry facilities, and a charging station. And then we've also we're going to help set up a temporary fire station as the Pasco County Fire Rescue Station 19 was inundated with storm surge. The interesting thing about the storm surge, we talked about these Tiger dams, these flood protection devices, and those were distributed based on who requested them in different parts of the state. And I think the result was every place that did that, either protecting a critical asset or something like a fire station, either had no flooding or dramatically reduced impacts from the storm surge. We did one Tiger dammed a fire station in Tampa, and it was fine. But we Tiger dammed some other places and there. So those are things that's an asset that the state has for emergency response. And hopefully we don't have any more events this hurricane season. But to the extent we do, or certainly in the future, these are things that we want to be helpful with and we want people to be able to utilize. The fire station that we'll do that's temporary will include bunking, bathroom, shower, kitchen, washer, dryer, wraparound service for fuel generators, water, and gray water removal. So we're glad that that's being done. Now, as you see, there's been damage to homes, and it's not just in this area. You see that up and down the coast. So what do you do in that situation? Well, the state's collaborating with county emergency management partners to open recovery shelters through the impacted area so that you can be connected to resources and assistance teams to assist with finding solutions, particularly over the short term. Now, we have a program called State Housing Initiatives Partnership, and if your home sustained damage as a result of storm, your local SHIP program office may have recovery assistance available to help with temporary lodging, rental assistance, debris removal, and/or home repairs. So these are state funds that are allocated annually to local governments in all 67 Florida counties to assist with housing needs. And we encourage impacted residents to contact your local SHIP office directly for more information. Those contacts can be found at floridahousing.org. In response to our request to FEMA, FEMA has granted the following: individual assistance. This individual assistance to individuals and households in the following counties: Charlotte, Citrus, Dixie, Franklin, Hernando, Hillsborough, Jefferson, Lafayette, Lee, Levy, Madison, Manatee, Pasco, Pinellas, Sarasota, Taylor, and Wakulla counties. Public assistance. Assistance for emergency work and the repair or replacement of disaster damaged facilities has been approved for Charlotte, Citrus, Dixie, Franklin, Hernando, Hillsborough, Jefferson, Lafayette, Lee, Levy, Madison, Manatee, Pasco, Pinellas, Sarasota, Taylor, and Wakulla counties for debris removal and emergency protective measures, including direct federal assistance. Hazard Mitigation Grant Program. All counties in the state of Florida are eligible to apply for assistance under the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program. Now, if you go up and down these streets, it's obviously that these homes are going to need a lot of work to bring them back to where they were. So we're here today with Team Rubicon, which we've worked with in the past. It's a veteran-led humanitarian organization that serves communities before, during, and after disasters and crisis. They're here to help those whose homes have been damaged by Hurricane Helene. And one of the things they offer, which I think is going to be in high demand right where we are, is a muck and gut of homes, which means removing debris and stripping out drywall and other materials on the interior of the home that will need to be replaced so that reconstruction can start without delay. As I mentioned, we partnered with them before after Hurricane Ian. They were deployed to Southwest Florida. Also today, I'm pleased to announce that we are bringing our first round of travel trailers for people to live in while repairs are made on their home. It used to be that when you would have these events, people would try to go through FEMA, and FEMA does have a travel trailer program, but oftentimes that would take months before any trailers were delivered, and sometimes they wouldn't want to deliver them to your homes. They'd want to set up like these RV cities where you have all these travel trailers in one. We think it's important, if people need this temporary housing, to give them the option to have that on their property. So as they're working to rehab their home, they're right there, and they don't have to go somewhere far away. So these trailers, and you see some behind us, this will allow them to stay on property. And we have hundreds of these that are mobilizing right now. We also have hundreds of more as needed. And this is because we spearheaded this program. I think we're the only state in the country that does this, but this is why we do it, because we want to cut through the bureaucracy, cut through the red tape, and we want to get the trailers where they need. So you can request these trailers through Hope Florida. For at least the next 2 weeks, the Hope line is extending to 24/7 service for those who need resources or other assistance, and that number is 833-GET-HOPE, 833-GET-HOPE. We also have Hope buses available for in-person service in communities impacted by the storm. Yesterday, they were in Taylor and Madison counties. Today, we're announcing 2 additional sites where we'll have Hope buses, Pasco and Manatee counties. So today you have Taylor County Middle School in Perry, Florida, Bridge Church in Madison, Florida, South Holiday Library in Pasco, and State College of Florida in Manatee County in Bradenton. So I want to thank everybody from Team Rubicon and all the other volunteers that are here and that are going to be helping. Now, one of the things we're going to do to assist with the rebuild is we also have a state housing program that we did kind of in conjunction with doing the stuff with the trailers, where we started this a couple years ago. So we will go in and we will do a negotiation with places like Home Depot and Lowe's. Sometimes they donate, sometimes we pay, but we usually get a pretty good deal, and we get the necessary supplies so that if Rubicon has people that are going to go in and help someone repair their home, especially elderly, they have the supplies that they need. So Kevin is turning that on, and we're actively working with those big providers to be able to deliver that. We still have emergency accommodation modules on Expedia and Priceline. So if you're somebody that had to evacuate, your home's not safe to go back to, or you just want somewhere else to stay, those are still there for both Priceline and Expedia. We've also, through the Florida Department of Commerce, activated the Florida Small Business Emergency Bridge Loan Program. So we have $15 million available for businesses for immediate cash in hand to make critical repairs and keep people on the payroll. This is a zero-interest loan, and honestly, the repayment are very, very liberal in terms of the requirements. So this is something that if you need an infusion of money in a way that's not going to, saddle you with difficult liabilities in the future, this is a very flexible program. So we have loans of up to $50,000 available through those programs. And if you want to apply, you can go to www.floridajobs.org/EBL, and you can apply. We've also activated the Florida Disaster Fund. This is our official private fund established to assist our communities as they recover from disaster. These are tax-deductible donations. And so you can go to floridadisasterfund.org, floridadisasterfund.org. We've also authorized to send air assets to help with rescue efforts in western North Carolina. And for those who have seen the images, honestly, it hasn't gotten a lot of media attention, but you have major, major devastation, roads, bridges washed out. People can't even access there. And so there's going to be a need for air assets, and so we are moving air assets there. Fortunately, our rescue operations were conducted. Pasco did a great job, all these places, and we don't have the demand for that right now. We also understand that Western North Carolina, it's not like it's just a random spot on the map when it comes to Florida. You go there over the summer, half the people there are from Florida, and they go. Now, I know a lot of Floridians have probably came back home in September, but you may have some there. So we will be putting out some information where if you do have Floridians that are stranded, just like we did with Israel, just like we did with Haiti, we're willing to mobilize resources to be able to bring you to safety. It's a very difficult situation there, and in parts of Tennessee as well, but certainly Western North Carolina, keep those folks in your thoughts and prayers. And so we're sending some help. We stand by to do more as we have resources that are not being used for our recovery efforts here in the state of Florida. All right, with that, I want to bring up Kevin Guthrie, Florida Division of Emergency Management.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you for trusting the State Emergency Response Team and the Florida Division of Emergency Management as we ensure resources are getting to those that immediately need the help. As of this morning, the State Emergency Response Team has completed over 800 missions and is actively fulfilling an additional 1,700 in support of response to Helene. Urban search and rescue teams are wrapping up the work on search and rescue operations across the state, and as the Governor just mentioned, we're going to start releasing those to start helping out in North Carolina if needed. If you need reunification with a loved one, I want to encourage you to call the Red Cross. They do that very well. Make sure you call 1-800-RED-CROSS. That's 1-800-733-2767. Crews are still working around the clock to clear roads and repair roads damaged and other critical infrastructure. Points of distribution are open in impacted areas to include by the county right here inside of Pasco County. You can go to floridadisaster.org/updates for that. The state is collaborating with our county emergency management partners to transition sheltering out of schools so that we can get the schools open back up this next week through the impacted area to connect, and we're going to connect survivors with resources that will assist them in finding solutions. Now that we have received the federal declaration that the Governor has mentioned, individual assistance, including right here in the greater Tampa Bay media market, are eligible. You heard the Governor announce those earlier today. Since that is turned on, FEMA will be making the following available. Displacement assistance. Funds are available to cover 2 weeks worth of interim housing expenses such as staying at a hotel, an Airbnb, or with friends and family. You need to keep all of your receipts. Rental assistance. After displacement assistance is exhausted, individuals with continuing disaster housing needs can notify FEMA that they are in need of rental assistance. This is paid out on a month-to-month basis for up to 18 months. Home repair and replacement assistance. FEMA provides financial assistance for homeowners to cover the cost of home repairs up to $42,500 if they qualify. One example is if it's a second home, you will not qualify. That's just one example of an automatic delineator there. Small Business Administration. The SBA provides low-interest loans up to $500,000 to cover most home repair costs. As soon as these resources are available, we will share them everywhere and with everyone. You can apply for individual assistance right now by going to disasterassistance.gov. Again, that's disasterassistance.gov. You can do that on the FEMA app, or you can call 1-800-621-3362. If you need volunteer resources, visit our Helene resource page for a complete list, including hotlines for groups conducting muckouts, tarping, and debris removal. There are many other teams, including Team Rubicon, that are available for this statewide. Crisis cleanup is activated and can take your calls now. Don't let scammers come around and try to take advantage of you. I know the sheriff has deputies posted everywhere looking for this, but again, it takes all of us to look out for all of us. So if you see somebody that's sketchy doing something they shouldn't do, they can't provide you some type of license or anything of that nature, call the sheriff's office, immediately report that. I know Chris, or Sheriff Nacco, sorry about that, sir. I know Sheriff Nacco will be more than happy to come and show them his fine hotel accommodations. You can always verify contractors' licenses by visiting myfloridalicense.com and report any unlicensed activity to 866-532-1440. If you receive damage to your home, take pictures before you clean up. Make sure you're getting pictures of high water marks. In this area, they all look to be about 4 to 5 feet high. Go ahead and make sure you take pictures of that. I want to drill into something the governor said on the ability to receive power. All right, I know Pasco County Emergency Management is here on site. He's right over here off camera. Andy Fossa is the EM director. The Pasco County Fire Rescue will most likely need to do an electrical inspection to make sure that it can be turned back on. The last thing we want to do is energize to your house and then your house catch on fire. So that will need to happen, all right? And you can get in touch with Pasco County Emergency Management, Pasco County Fire, to see what the plan is for doing that here inside of Pasco County. We're having that same issue all the way up and down the coast. If you're outside doing things in your yard, make sure you're safe. Don't do stuff that you don't know how to do. We have volunteers like Jeff's team that will be more than happy to help you cut trees, take debris away, clean up the yard, clean up the house, muck and gut it. Make sure you call us for that. You can do that through our state assistance line, or you can go to Crisis Cleanup. We'll help you out with that. Be sure as you start pulling out debris, it will certainly help Pasco County as they clean up. They have to separate this into furniture, white goods, vegetative debris, household hazardous chemicals. Separate that all at the curb, and it's going to go much, much faster. All right? If you need assistance with the Crisis Cleanup, that number is 844-965-1386. Please don't travel into the area. We got we got a lot of work to do. We are ready to assist anybody that may need it. So please make sure you follow us on at FLSERT on X and Instagram, and at FDEM on Facebook for real-time updates. One thing I want to make sure that everybody understands, because I know they love to fact check me and the governor. And the governor said this is the first time for certain things. First time in Florida that there is a state home repair program combined with these non-congregate shelter travel trailers like you see over here and down the road. That is a Florida first, that is a nation first. But he's one-upped that by saying we're going to invest state dollars and work with Home Depot to go and get the materials to do that. So I know you guys are going to fact check him and say no, trailers are used across the United States. Take into context everything he said, because I know sometimes you guys don't do that. It's all three pieces, Florida first. Governor, thanks for leading the way.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you, Director. I'll be brief, and I'll say this. It's good to be in front of this team. Disaster response and recovery is a team sport. It takes everybody working together and knowing their role in that mission. Obviously, you've heard all the great resources that are being provided. Team Rubicon is a veteran-led organization, veteran-led disaster response team, but we're local. We have thousands of Florida gray shirts that are going to be notified and understanding where we're going to set up. That's our mission today, is finding a place to house our gray shirts so that we can get to work. Crisis cleanup is the best way to get our services, and I'll say this, it's not just Team Rubicon. We'll have many volunteer organizations in the area, and we're all partners here. It's one team, one fight, and we're happy to be on that team, Governor.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, we appreciate Team Rubicon. We appreciate all the other groups that are descending here, and honestly, they're going to be definitely going to need to be in other parts of the country as well, just because there's really significant damage when you get into those mountain regions in places like North Carolina. But I want to thank everyone who's been working hard. Lot of work to do, but I think everybody's pulling in the right direction. Okay, with that, take some questions. Anybody?
With how much of the state was impacted, are resources spread pretty thin, or how are you guys spreading the resources?
We have adequate resources. I mean, you know what, Kevin, whenever we see these things, there's a preparation, there's a mobilization. Clearly on the rescue, that mission has been accomplished effectively. I mean, I don't know that there's any active requests out there for that like there is in, say, Western North Carolina. So that's why we're pushing some assets up there to be able to help folks. And then in terms of all the different pods, we've got 34 pods around the state. But, you know, some of the areas are going to need those pods more than others. You know, we'll bring, Pasco's got some county, we'll help with that. But you also have a lot of things very close by that are open, the supermarkets and stuff. You know, that's not necessarily true in some of the more rural parts that really got whacked as well. So we'll see the pod situation what the demand is going forward, but we've surged pods. I mean, I think we got the pods open within 48 hours of the storm, or
we actually had 3 open up in Levy County within 24 hours.
within 24. You know, it used to be you wait 5 days. People are supposed to be on their own for 5 days, and then there'd be a pod, and we've kind of moved that up. So yes, you have all that. I think a lot of what it's going to be, and most of the infrastructure we have, there was some minor damage here or there. That's been that. I was in Bradenton Beach yesterday. We've got that stretch of road from basically Anna Maria Island down to Longboat Key, and we're going to fix that, and we're accelerating that to be able to do. But I have not seen the same level of like bridge damage and stuff that you see in like Western North Carolina. So that makes it much better because we've got a couple things to remedy, but then it's mostly going to be the homes and the businesses and fixing that. And that's a variety of ways you do that. So in terms of the infrastructure, we want to get fixed what's outstanding. We got a lot of our stuff came through okay, surprisingly, I think, in some respects. And then there's going to be others, but that's definitely going to continue to be a priority. So as soon as the storm upended parts of the road down in Bradenton, we did an emergency contract. We got FDOT, we got private contractors there working. There's a number of different places along a multiple mile stretch that need help, and they're going to do it. So in that sense, I think that's all that's manageable. But the homes here, homes in the Pinellas Barrier Islands, in the Bradenton, Sarasota Barrier Islands, clearly had a lot of storm surge. And then as you go into the Big Bend, you have surge that just completely wiped out some of these homes. I mean, really, really destruction that you saw. Some that were like way up and like concrete beams, some of them made it. But any of the stuff that was a little lower lying or had wood, it was really difficult.
A lot of them are worried about the possibility of another hurricane coming towards the end of the year.
Well, we have those concerns too. Now, it's too early to know whether there is going to be something that impacts us, but there is a potential for development right now in a similar area to where Helene developed. And so we'll just keep monitoring that, but people should just know that's out there. It's nothing to necessarily get scared about because there's nothing that we can do to prevent it. It's either going to happen or it's not. It might form and go west. There's a lot of models. Are the models, a lot of them still saying west?
What about 50/50
Yeah.
preparedness too?
What's that?
I was going to say maybe preparedness too. Just
Oh, yeah. So, some of the models have it going towards like Louisiana, Texas. Some have it going more east. We just don't know. We'll see. But know it's out there. Understand that this is something that could potentially have some level of impacts. And the thing is here, if there's even moderate impacts when you're already going through this, that's going to exacerbate. So Kevin and I have told the local folks here, they're going to work on the debris removal. I think it's really important that we move forward on that. So they're doing that. They've got contracts, but to the extent we can be helpful with any of our assets, we want to be helpful to get this debris. Because, even if you had a fraction of the surge you had for Helene come with another storm this season, this debris out there, I mean, that debris is going to go everywhere. It's going to create hazards, and it's going to make it more difficult for us to recover here. So people should just know that there is a possibility. It's too soon to know for sure, but it is not without the realm of possibility. So preparation is key. A lot of people did take the preparation seriously. If you look at the number of confirmed fatalities in Florida, we unfortunately did have some, but I think that a lot of people got out of Dodge, particularly in the area where the storm made landfall. I think almost everyone got out. They have no confirmed fatality where it made landfall in Taylor County, even though so many of the things were obliterated. So I think the folks, the messaging was strong. I know folks like Sheriff Naco were in there working with residents, and then when the storm was here and people needed help, they went in and they helped them. So that was a very, very rapid response, and they deserve a lot of credit. There's still active rescue and recovery efforts in places like Western North Carolina now, because you can't get emergency vehicles in. So it's a really dicey situation. That's one of the reasons we sent some air assets. We're not actively in need of any of that right now, thankfully. So we're sending. We also will probably send some Starlink internet if they need it, because we've got a lot of these devices. We've deployed some, But fortunately, I think the telecommunications and the internet situation fared better than it did in previous storms like Ian. So have we deployed any Starlink yet, or how many?
Yes, sir. We've been deploying Starlinks. All 67 counties had one on hand just in case
Okay.
of lost communications, and we have several in the area.
Yeah, so, I think that clearly all 67 counties are not using Starlink, just given the course that the storm went. So there's a lot of different things, but we're going to do whatever we need to do to help folks here. If we have additional resources that are not being used, that can be used to help folks, particularly given the fact that there's probably some Floridians there, we want to be helpful, and we are going to be putting out something where if there are Floridians that are caught in any part of Helene's path, even if they're outside our state boundaries, if we can be helpful and bringing them to safety, just like we did in Israel, just like we did in Haiti, we want to do that. Okay, we're going to be heading up to Dixie County, and we will be back shortly, though. Thank you.
Going this way, that way.